Hi, I'm Ilona Geldenhuys and I've been a qualified makeup artist for around 11 years now, but I've been doing makeup long before that, pretty much ever since I've been allowed to wear makeup. So I'm really excited to do this video for Lisa Brown International Academy's online course, and today I'm going to show you how to do this very glamorous, glittery look. It is a replica of the Kim K's Met Gala look, the wet look, but I did add a little bit of glitter and it's slightly more smoky. And then I'm also going to show you how to bake the face and just tell you a little bit more about baking and the technique and everything else. So let's get started. Okay, so I prefer doing the eyes first. It just always guarantees that your face makeup will always be perfect, so you won't have any fallout or any glittery particles that you really will struggle to get rid of once you have done your foundation. So this is the eye that I did, and I'm gonna show you on this eye exactly what I did. Alright, so I'm gonna prime my eyes with the MAC paint pot in the color Painterly. I love using this as a primer for eyeshadow. So just using a brush, I'm just gonna apply that all over my eyelid. And then using a sponge, I'm just gonna slightly press that into the skin just to make sure that it is smooth. Okay, so for eyeshadow, I'm going to use my Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. So you can see it's very like neutral browns, smoky kind of palette. So you can use any eyeshadow that you have that has the same kind of shades, but you can really use any eyeshadow with this look. So I'm going to grab some of this burnt orange shade, and then I'm just going to blend that on the outer corner of my eye. And also on the inner corner. Once I have blended most of the shadow from my brush, I'm gonna drag it slightly upwards and just blend all of that out. Alright, so once I'm happy with that, I'm gonna pick up a darker brown shade. So I'm picking up this color Rustic, and then I'm basically gonna blend that out exactly where I blended my first shade. Alright, so once I'm happy with the blending of that shade, I'm gonna now pick up a slightly darker brown shade, but I'm using a different brush. This one is slightly more dense and a little smaller. So I'm gonna pick up this dark brown shade. And again, I'm gonna apply this on the outer V and inner V, but I'm gonna try and be a little bit more precise with this shade. And just almost concentrate it just on these smaller areas, and don't blend this dark shade too high. And this will just add more depth to the eye. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So with this look, I'm not gonna apply a liquid liner, but I still want to smoke out the lash line a little bit. So I'm picking up with a little bit of an angled brush some of the black eyeshadow. And then I'm just gonna smoke out my lash line. And then picking up the same brush as before, I'm going to pick up the same dark brown shade that I used previously and just kind of soften out that line so that it's more of a smoky line and not like a solid line. So now we are going to do the center part of the halo look. Okay, so for any trendy, like glittery, glammy, glitzy kind of look, I do love using pigments because pigments really packs a punch when it comes to shimmers. And you can just do a lot with pigments. You can go the subtle route, or if you want it to be very shimmery and very dramatic, then you can do that with pigments as well. For this look, I'm going to be using some of the Inglot Pure Pigments. I'm going to be using two different ones. This one is number 14. This one is a very fine pigment, so it's almost just like a loose shimmery eyeshadow. And the other one that I'm going to be using is the Jennifer Lopez Pure Pigment in the color Cosmic Glow. And this one is a little bit more textury, it's a little bit more glittery. You can see the... But first, to make sure that these pigments pop when I apply them, I want to slightly prime the eyes where I'm going to apply the shimmers. So I'm going to use some of my paint pot. I've just applied some on my hand, and with my finger I'm going to dab that right in the center where I'm going to be applying my shimmers. Just like that. Okay, so first I'm going to be using the Pure Pigment in the number 14, and again I'm going to use my finger. I just feel like with shimmers you really do get a pop when you use your fingertips. And then again I'm just applying this exactly where I applied that paint pot. And you can see that one is nice and shimmery. In the second one, I'm going to be using the Cosmic Glow, and this one is slightly more glittery. And again, I'm just going to use my fingertip and just apply this one right in the center of that one. Just like that. Okay, so now just to make sure that there are no like harsh lines when it comes to the shimmers, you just want to make sure that everything is like blended out seamlessly. I'm going to use the brush that I used first to apply the lightest brown shade. I'm not even picking up any new eyeshadow. I'm just going to use this brush and slightly blend the edges of those shimmery shades. Okay, so I feel happy with the blending of this. There are no harsh lines and it looks really like everything just melts together. Okay, so now because I'm adding my own touch to this look, I did add glitter because I love glitter and it just makes everything look so much more dramatic and so much more glamorous and glitzy and trendy. So with any glitter look, depending on how much glitter you want to use, if you want to do an eye look where your lid is solid glitter, then it's not necessary to do the eyeshadow underneath the glitter. But because I just added a little bit of glitter, I still wanted that shadow to kind of come through. And also I just always feel it's safe that in case some of your glitter particles does come off, then you do have that foundation of shadow and it's still gonna look beautiful. So with glitter, you can really use any glitter. You can use nail glitters, you can use body art glitters, you can use scrapbooking glitter if you want, you can use star shaped glitters, any glitter that you can imagine, you can use that on your eyes. Glitter is glitter, it's not made up of any other ingredient than glitter. So you really don't need to go and search specifically for a certain type of glitter brand or something that is specifically for the eyes. It really can be any glitter that you find. So the only thing with glitter is we need to apply a base to that glitter to make sure that the glitter doesn't come off and you don't have any glitter fall out on your face, because glitter is the most difficult thing to get off of your face once it is stuck. So what I use as a glitter primer is the NYX glitter primer, and I just love this product. It's super easy to use and it really does make your glitter stay in place all day long. So I just decant a little bit of this on the back of my hand, and then again just using my fingertip, I'm just gonna take that primer and slightly dab that right onto the center of my halo. And then I'm using this really like rose gold, champagne goldish glitter. And then again, just using my fingertip, I am picking up a little bit of glitter and then just slightly dabbing that where I applied the primer. So I'm happy with the eye look at the moment, and now I'm just gonna apply some mascara and then just put on some eyelashes as well. So when it comes to a very glamorous, smoky, glitzy look, the under eye, I do prefer to use a black liner in my waterline and then just smoke out the bottom lash line with the same brown eyeshadows that I used at the top, and then just apply a little bit of mascara. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I bake the face. So I already did my foundation and I've completed this side of my face, so I'm going to show you how to do it on this side of my face. I've applied my foundation and concealer as normal, and I also already just very lightly set my under eye area with some powder, just because I wanted to make sure the area was very smooth and there was no creases before I do bake the face, because once you apply the powder to bake the skin, it's gonna set in that exact way. So if there is any creases or lines and you apply your powder over that, then it's gonna sit in that way and it's not gonna move, so you're gonna be left with like creases and lines. So the difference between setting the skin and baking is, setting is just that, you just set the face with powder, and obviously powder has a lot of benefits. It does make your makeup last a lot longer. Also, it mattifies the skin. If someone's skin is very oily, it will also prevent the skin from getting very greasy and oily later on in the day if you do have someone with oily skin, and it also prevents your makeup from creasing. With baking, you basically do the same thing, except you use a lot more powder and you leave it on for about 10 to 15 minutes, and this basically cooks your skin and it will make your makeup bulletproof. So it's usually used for like stage kind of makeup, where you do have like a Broadway show and there's a lot of light and heat and you sweat, and you want the makeup to be bulletproof and hold out through all of those harsh factors. Baking also does photograph really well. It does make the skin look very smooth and flawless, almost very airbrushed. It also does help you to blend out the rest of your products really seamlessly without your makeup being like patchy. Baking does have a lot of benefits. It does photograph really well. It does make the skin look very flawless and smooth on pictures, and also obviously it's really good for stage makeup or any kind of performance makeup where you really need your makeup to be bulletproof and last throughout any situation. It does have some cons also, so you would not want to bake on someone with very mature skin, because obviously using a lot of powder can make the skin look more crepey and it can enhance those lines and wrinkles, so it will make the skin look older. Also, anyone with eczema, psoriasis or extremely dry skin, again the powder can make the skin look really dry and crepey, and it just won't feel good on anyone with any of those skin conditions. I have really dry skin, so if you want to bake on someone with very dry skin but they don't mind it and they want it, or it's for something that they really need to be baked, then just use a oil-based primer, something like the Smashbox primer oil, something that has a lot of nourishment and oil in it, because that'll just help the skin feel a little bit more hydrated and nourished. Even after you have applied a lot of powder, it still will just help the skin feel a little better and not too dry. Okay, so I'm gonna just jump right into it. So the powder that I'm gonna be using today is the Yardley Absolute Loose Translucent Powder. I absolutely love this powder. I use it to set the face and then also for baking. It does have a slight color to it, but once it is buffed off, then there is no color left. So it is still translucent, but it won't give you that white cast or any like flashback once you have removed it. Also, it's a very smooth and silky powder, so when you like feel it in between your fingers, it almost like melts in between your fingers. So I just love using this. There are many different ways that you can apply the powder. You can use a beauty sponge, you can use a wedge if you want. I'm going to use a powder brush because I just feel that it picks up quite a generous amount, and it's easier for me to kind of get into smaller areas, and it's just a little bit easier to apply. So you can either bake the entire face if you really want to, but it's really not necessary. You kind of want to focus on the area where your makeup do tend to smudge. So under the eye, if you are wearing like very dark smoky makeup, then sometimes you can have some fallout, or you can have mascara like smudging, so the baking will definitely prevent that. Also, you can bake around the chin area. This trick is also nice for brides because it just keeps that makeup in place, especially if you are hugging someone, then you won't have any transfer. And also we do tend to like touch our chins a little bit more and like rest our hands on our face, so the baking will just help that your foundation stay in place in that area. It also helps with contouring, so you can actually help your contour to stay in place all day as well by just sharpening your contouring, and I will show you how to do that. So I'm gonna bake underneath my eyes and on my chin area, and then I'm also gonna bake from the corner of my nose, slightly around my mouth, because I do feel that your makeup tends to break down over here really quickly, especially if you are going to be eating and or just like talking a lot and you're moving your mouth a lot, and your makeup tends to come apart quickly. Also, if you have maybe allergies and you have a runny nose and you blow your nose and then all your foundation is gone, where baking would definitely help with that as well. And then I'm also going to bake just above my forehead, just to also again help with any creasing if there are any fine lines over there. So I'm picking up a generous amount of powder, and then I'm just gonna like press that onto my skin, just like that. And then on the chin, so basically just like that. And now I'm gonna leave it just like this for about 10 to 15 minutes. So what happens when you bake your face is your face is basically cooking. What happens is the foundation gets trapped between the heat and the powder, and it basically cooks within these couple of minutes that you leave it onto your face. And then once you wipe it off, like I mentioned, it is bulletproof and it will not move. So that is basically why they call it baking and cooking, because that's exactly what you are doing. So while my face is baking, I'm going to start with my contouring of the cheekbones, just because I also want to bake my contour as well. So I'm just taking some bronzer and just applying that where I would normally apply bronzer. Okay, so now I have applied my bronzer, and what's nice about this technique is, and I usually actually do this even when I'm not baking the rest of the face, I do like baking just this area because it almost just neatens your contouring, especially if your wing's a little bit too low or it might be a little like uneven or patchy. You can just like perfect it by baking your contouring. So again, I'm just picking up a generous amount of powder, and then I'm basically gonna almost like draw a line just below my contour to kind of give me a more like a straight defined line. Bring it down like to the corner of your mouth so you can see when facing the camera straight. It gives you that sculpted jawline. Okay, so it's definitely been about 15 minutes now, and so now I'm just gonna wipe off the excess powder. So the excess powder is now wiped off. So now I'm just gonna bronze the rest of my face, apply some blusher and highlighter. And then, very important with baking the face, I feel it's really important to use a good setting spray or a fixing spray, just because now we did apply a lot of powder and the skin does tend to now look a little bit cakey and powdery, and you just almost want to now melt all of that powder into your skin so that it doesn't look almost like it is on top of the skin but just a part of the skin. So after I've applied my blusher and highlighter, I'm just going to spray some of the MAC Fix Plus all over my face, and you can apply a generous amount, almost like drenching the face, and then I will show you the after results. So now my skin does look a little bit more like skin and a little bit more dewy, but you still have the effect of the baking. Your makeup is still bulletproof and in place, and it will not move until you actually have to wash your face. So that is it for today's look.